click, and then I'm going to live on Facebook. Great. And then I will do Instagram, admit. Awesome. So good evening, good morning to everybody. Thanks everybody for being here today. So we have two of our artists joining us right now. We have Zahra Yazdani and Sumantra Mukherjee, whose work is behind us at the moment. Absolutely amazing stuff. So Zahra is joining us tonight, or this morning for her, from Iran. You know, you've seen her work all over social media, all over Instagram. It's absolutely amazing. So her process is more about, you know, diving deep into the subconscious and kind of pulling out these images and then superimposing them onto, you know, more religious or, you know, male dominated areas. So kind of, you know, dreaming of what it could be, you know. One of my favorite pieces of hers is this angelic figure, you know, in the middle of like a darkened alley. It's absolutely beautiful. So again, I recommend everybody come out and see it. She's wonderful. And again, Sumantra takes a totally different approach to his work, you know, kind of touching on the same topics, but he uses very, you know, bold graphics, lots of bright colors, lots of amazing imagery, and just more of a social commentary on, you know, the direction that India is heading today. So thank you both for being here, and thanks everybody for tuning in. So I just want to go over just a couple questions with the artists to kind of get their take on what's happening right now within their countries. Most people know that our organization deals with, you know, artists and victims of censorship and, you know, marginalization. But most of us don't really know the exact, you know, day to day of what it's like to live under this pressure and have to, you know, find ways to work with it. Zahra, if you'd like to start, how, you know, how does your day-to-day approach and your experience with censorship and the difficulties and the bureaucracy kind of affect you and the art that you produce?
So let's say that actually the way that what I'm doing is in a way impossible to be done in Iran, because I'm doing the photography, alternative photography, and one phase of this process is to build the negatives, and building the negatives needs to like go to like some places and ask them to, because they are like larger scales negative, they are not like this small kind of negative. So I need to go to some special photography places to build the negative for me in larger scale, and it's not possible. So because when it is the part of nude body there, they just don't accept it. So like it starts from just starting my process. So whenever I'm doing like some project or whatever that's the female body or the male body, nude body is involved in it, I need to travel for that. So in a way, it is interesting. I mean, it is like making the process longer, and it is adding like some conceptual layers to that, because there is the part of my work is about the process, the way that you like step by step, just gather everything, build everything to find your structure. So a part of this process is a traveling to go somewhere to make it happen, to it is tolerated for them to help me in the process.
So a quick question, do you have to go outside of the country?
Yeah, I mean, it is it has been always done outside of the country, but after a while I just find like some places that they if the images are not that much flashing, or they are not that much like is tolerated in a way, they accepted to do it. But otherwise, because I have always this plan of going to residencies or going to some other places. Mainly the place is India, because it's near and cheap for me, affordable for me. So yeah, when I go there, I bring my negatives there and I just build my negatives, and then I come back working on them.
Cool. And then again, more accessing supplies. I know that we had an encounter with somebody that actually Matt knows personally, and she was talking about with the sanctions that are happening, like the access to just the supplies that you need on, like, to even just create these things are just inaccessible.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like that before, like in before the sanctions started. I mean, that's everything was there. You can easily find it in Iran. But when all the art materials becomes like some not how to say it, it is not a force to be there. I mean, that it is not something that you need it right now. So they just cut it unnecessary. Yeah, unnecessary. So they just cut bringing them inside Iran. So yeah, it became like, I mean, finding cardboard or finding papers, it became like something, it became an adventure to where can you find it, where is available now. So yeah, I mean, it happens, but the thing is that you find an alternative for it. For example, then there is, if it is not possible to use this material, then let's go to another material. Of course, I mean, that's and it's building like a new aesthetic for what you're doing, because you need to just find a way. I mean, this is something that we are very good at it, to find a way to just do what you want to do.
Cool. No, that's really, it's to sit here and, have to know, because like for us, cardboard is just, it's so easy to come across, like, it's everything.
Hard to get rid of.
Yeah, it's hard to get rid of, we have so much of it. Because again, we, every time we order anything, like when the shipments come in, it's cardboard and cardboard and cardboard and plastic and materials, right? But just to know that something like that just isn't accessible because of, the structure, and because of the regime, and because of the government, is just kind of.
Yeah, it's making it harder. They are making it harder, like, but the thing is that if you want to access it, if you want to find it, there are like some ways. It is not that there is nothing that, I mean, that you can find it. For example, there are like some website that you can order online, but it takes more money, like the shipment is added to it, and then it takes too long time to bring it here. So it is not the usual way, actually. So the usual way is not there anymore, to go to the like the source and find exactly what you are. I mean, that you can find some stuff, but exactly what you need for your work, mainly it is not easy to find it.
What were you gonna say?
Kyle mentioned a friend of mine. She was talking to ArtNet, I believe that was a year ago, and she said that sanction damaging art and culture in Iran more than censorship. Do you believe in that? I got personally really mad when I saw that.
I don't know which one is worst, but I mean that, no, I don't believe in that. I mean, the censorship is like way too much more harmful than sanctions, because sanctions about the materials, you will find a way. I mean, that even you can work with their ready-made things, or you will find a way, but censorship is not. I mean, that it involves your life, your thought, everything. I mean, that it is not only about material.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I'll take it to Sumantra now, just because again, Zahra was saying, she goes to India to help produce her work.
And which is like very one of our greatest writers, Sadef Hedayat, used to travel to India to publish his book, decades ago.
It's so comfortable for me to be in India. So I'm really
but then I was gonna say, like, it's so easy, for like Iran to kind of go to India to get the support that they need. But again, you're still facing so many things inside India, that you know, so how does it, again, how does it affect you? I know, let everybody else know, we personally have been experiencing it for the last several months.
We are people with excess. We definitely are the kind of second largest population. We have cardboard, enormous, huge piles and stacks of wastages, etc. I mean, those are there, and there are ways that you need to find how to procure them or how to use them for yourself. And there's also the situation, which is weird. I mean, not only in the context of liberty of speech or freedom of expression or things like that. I mean, then there is religion. There is a multitude of religion, and then there is multitude of thought processes. So these are very local things, and it is not really reflected as wholesome India, but in very local points, they creep inside you. They don't allow you many things. It is layered as well. I mean, the geography changes, the food changes. All these things from east to west, from north to south. So Zahra might have found something in the northwestern side somewhere. This film negatives, or maybe in Bombay somewhere.
Yeah,
But
in
the
Delhi,
same
actually.
thing, yeah, in Delhi actually. So when it is a city front, that the context is different. But most of it is rural and villages at the same time. You won't find things there as well. You won't find things in many other parts, or you might not be able to communicate through your art in larger areas in India when they see your art. I love your art. I respect that. I mean, they're brilliant. At the same time, when you come up with those imagery and speak to the same vendor who is supplying you with these negatives, he might get, harmed. I mean, that's the weird thing. That's the weird thing. Yeah, that what you was facing in Iran, you will face it in India as well. So
Yeah.
in that context, it's weird.
Yeah,
Maybe the material you procure is easy.
yeah, and
But
with
for
everything,
me,
The thing is that, sorry.
Sorry, no worries. I was just gonna say, with everything
Yeah.
that we've had to deal with, just like on the Canadian side, with like helping Sumantra with his work. For India, it seems like it's more like bureaucratic. So it's more of like the system of getting things done is just it's it's impossible to work with. So I like every step of the way. Sorry, go on, Sumantra. Let us.
I had to prove, I had to go to the Archaeological Survey of India to prove that the painting behind is created by me and that doesn't have any historical evidences. So, it's funny. And in this COVID situation, they say that the experts are 90 years old. I doubt why they are still working. They should be relaxing. So they cannot go out into the airport and have a look at my paintings. And I have to bring these paintings, which are kind of heavy, to their office and keep them for 2.5 months and then wait for their approval. Even after I declare these are my original paintings, even after I give them the process videos of them. I don't have much in my process though. I'm a simple painter, I grab paint and I keep on painting. And my process is like, I sometimes work, I majorly work on the streets. And that is where I learn. And sometimes that gets reflected back in my studio as well, which is something like that you're seeing behind. So when I work on the streets at certain point of time, maybe let me elaborate. I am a part of a collective called PI, Performance Independent. We do artist-run performance art festival in Kolkata, India. So during that, in the initial years, we wanted to crowdfund things and we wanted to paint on the streets and speak to people about performance art, which is way away from the crowd. I mean, then it's a heavy city, this Kolkata. So there are millions and millions of people in the bus stands and everywhere. So painting on the floor is not a real joke. So we tried to paint on the floors with several motifs of gods and goddesses, and some people didn't want to stamp on them. And they argued to us, they argued to us that why are you drawing the god on the floor? The floor is the earth. If you believe in that, the floor is earth. Maybe it's concrete. That became a surface of my painting. So some policemen came and they had tried to harass us. And that why are you doing this? What are you trying to prove? I said nothing. I'm begging for money, as like a street painter does. It has some kind of historical evidence that people do survive like that. So talking to him maybe was more easy than some public other who came and tried to rub the thing off. but that didn't happen. It's concrete, so it got into the layers. I was drawing with chalk and charcoal. So the thing didn't fade away, and then they had a bus coming over. So they had to stamp on the goddesses and get up onto the bus. It's daily living. So they don't want to stamp on the goddess. It's in between, as I was saying. It's in between, with the government and with the progressive mentality and this religion construct of Hinduism, which is a burden today now. It's getting onto a burden type of an atmosphere. So these images, so I mean, so these images come up to me, and I negotiate with that, like that with the public. And then my images get formed up. I have my own feelings on it, and I distort them. And even then, when the distortion happens, the distortion is not taken well. If the image behind replicates Kali, then Kali has a certain form. So you have to conform to that form. If you cannot conform to that form, you are not sitting. This comes into the family as well. It is not only the government who is having a censorship. It's an authority that's there in the family as well. So that's the local point where you have to also nurture and speak to as an individual, as one-to-one, maybe not to a larger mass, maybe to your mother, maybe to your father, maybe to your brother, maybe to a colleague even. So that is where the negotiation happens, That is where the censorship is also there in a very macro level, micro
Right.
level.
So this kind of leads into like the next kind of phase that I wanted to move into. So just as an artist, what do you think, or what do you feel, other artists should be doing? Like, what do you feel is the responsibility of artists, where you are, So you're talking about, and I know that you work with, a community as well. But just within your community of artists, like what is it that you feel is your responsibility to censorship and like to freedom of expression and to kind of forward these ideals? Like, what do you think you should be doing?
Well, you see, I get inspired from the young generation. Yeah. Artists in many other forms, like rappers, like hip hoppers, like skateboarders, even like graffiti artists. I mean, from post 2014, after this right wing government is there on board, there has been much of protest, there has been much of poster making, there has been much of graffiti writing around. So it is already there. It's already there. Maybe not reflected in the media, but it is already there. I get inspired from them. I try to join hands sometimes, and I try to do my things in my own way. I mean, this will continue, I believe. There has been large protests where there were large activities, performances, street theaters, songs being written. So it's an inspiring time, I would say.
That's good. And I guess same question to Zahra. So like in Iran, like what, again, when we were putting out our call for artists, we had a huge number of participants from India and Iran as well. So we know that they have these, like very well formed communities, just underground, and like everybody is so supportive there. It's really awesome to see. So what else can be done, like inside the country within, what is the responsibility of the artists within their own country, do you feel, Zahra?
I think that's like maybe right now to just dream about like something very, like a kind of protest or something. Maybe this is not something that can be happen right now in Iran if you are going to like just live your life as an artist and do what you want. But I think that's at least you should do what you think that you should do, and don't think that because of the censorship you need to find like another way not to doing that, or like make it more like something that's tolerated for the censorship. I mean, that the first step is that to not do that to yourself and to what you are producing as an artwork. And I think that maybe it is not the underground life. It's something that was there always in Iran. Like mainly, if you go through the music in Iran, you can see it's very like more rich, maybe, or more like structured. And the same thing is happening for visual art, or like for whatever other arts too. So I think that the first step is to just keep it alive. And I think that if this type of artists who they don't want to go through the censorship, or they are not that much passionate about just being mainstream and do whatever is accepted, just to support each other, like finding each other, collaborate with each other. I mean, that is something that really is missing in Iran, is to just talking with each other and trying to find each other and support each other. I think that this is the first step actually before like starting to I mean that it is not before expecting any change. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. The artists together, I mean the ones who are living in Iran and they are facing all these things, to don't fight it alone, and don't, because it makes you hopeless after a while, because you cannot have any outcome out of it. Don't fight it alone. You need to join each other and just support each other in this way. I think this is the first step actually for me when I think about it. And yeah, of course, like the organization like you, or like the people, the organization that can be helpful in promoting, because like if you are doing this, if you are not going through the censorship, you cannot think about promoting yourself in Iran. It is not possible. Yeah. But I mean that there are always like some other alternative ways that you can find, like as I'm saying, the organization, like what you do. I mean that it can be helpful into just live a life as an artist, but at the same time, we need to keep it live in Iran, even if we don't have the suitable ways for promoting yourself.
Right. So again, I guess the last question for both of you is, oh my gosh, last night we read an open letter from an artist that you know, because we were on the verge of being censored here. So the fair that we're a part of, they asked us to take the work down, but then they ultimately agreed that we could keep it up. We just couldn't advertise that it was for sale. So what more can we do, you know, because like we you know, as Canadians, we always have this air, or we, to the rest of the world, and especially to artists like you guys, you kind of see Canada as this place where, you know, freedom is, you know, everywhere, but again, we still have so many different little layers, like microscopic, just under the surface layers of censorship here as well. So we're just wondering, like, what else can we do? Like, what can the free world, you know, do for you, you know?
No, there are many things that you can do. But I mean that I think the first thing is that to have like a gap for the conversation, whatever is the matter of concern, that make like some other parties to think that it must be censored, at least be like a gap of conversation before the action, that people can talk about it. And I mean that to just separate the power, even like in a smaller scale, which is like in, for example, an art community, or like an exhibition running. So I mean that the worst thing I think is that to just act before building any conversation. I think that if this is there and the power is not dominated by one, so they can choose and act on it, I think that then everyone will have like the opportunity to talk about what is happening, what is in their mind, and then they can share it, and then it will be like some decision which everyone is happy with it, and everyone can have like the presentation of what they want to represent.
Right, and then with when we had our jury, when we made the catalog, and we had, you know, Parastu, and we had Baral, and we had Tarana Himami and Tamam, when they sat down, a lot of questions kind of came to us about, you know, the number of people who had sent us work when we first had our call for artists. And we got a lot of work that was very, very tame. It wasn't critical of anything. It was just very pretty, and people were just taking the opportunity to send anything that they could, you know. So I'm really hoping that with this, you know, we can start building that foundation of trust with artists, from, you know, like Iran and from India and from other countries that are experiencing this as well. So then, you know, we can start, you know, becoming something that can be trusted, you know, outside of this, your countries, you know, and here. So I guess, Sumantra, is there anything that you would wish for, you know, the free world to help with? You know, like we're doing everything that we can at this point, but again, it's just, you know, talking about it. Is there some, like a step further that maybe we're not seeing that we could potentially, you know, go to?
I think the way you are working, the way the things have happened so far, I mean, the experience that I had with you is superb and is very positive. It's like it's a very friendly, it's cordial relation that there. I think we need to keep hitting hard and then pick up conversations like the one with the painting that you are saying that you cannot be having a sale deed for that. Not that. Don't get it wrong.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's not that. So when they are trying to I mean, keep a block on that, that is where the conversation will start, you know, and that is what is necessary. So you are in the right track. So once they have a conversation, then you can negotiate, then you can talk. So we need to keep building it up slowly and gradually and get the weird things out of the system and talk about it more and more and more. So the images or the performance or whatever it demands, you know, to keep them in a non-comfortable zone and make them speak and have a conversation of what is right and wrong.
We're trying to make them as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, yeah, I mean,
That's the point.
yeah. So during the conversation last night, I had to admit, and it's a really unfortunate thing, but it kind of led our conversation in a totally different direction. Like our main point for the conversation last night was to just, you know, talk about what this fair is doing and like the censorship here, but it opened up because for this artist, I felt like I needed to give just like a little bit into their demands. So I had changed the wording of some of the pieces, which again, I expressed like I immediately regretted it, and we changed it today. Like I put it back to the way that it was, just because again, I didn't want to make, you know, like it's been a tough road. Like we've been dealing, you know, with you guys for months now, you know,
Yep.
and again, with this whole, you know, transportation of the works from India, it really put you know, a pretty big strain on us, just, you know, emotionally and, you know,
Yeah, I know. I mean,
so I'm just like, you
I
know,
understand that I am so. I mean, my painting is not enough. You know, I
no,
should be a
and again,
businessman.
like Sumatra,
I should be a businessman.
Yeah.
I should have a heavy bank balance account.
Yeah.
I should have the every export license that is needed as like a businessman. So I learn it. You know, I learn now
Yeah,
that
I mean,
I, being a painter, cannot paint big paintings because the customs will snatch it from me and say it is not yours.
yeah. So I was just saying that like I caved under the pressure, right? Just like a little bit.
But the pressure was
Yeah.
very high.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, when Art Toronto asked us to remove Amir work,
Yep.
We talked to so many politicians here, so many like lawyers and different people, and so we were under pressure. And Kyle, like, do you want to explain like how you changed the media? How?
Well, so what they had said was they kind of trapped me, or they baited the questions. So I got an email from the director of the art fair about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago at this point, asking me to just clarify the mixed media that this, you know, the composition was made out of. And it's heroin. It's the remnants of heroin on tinfoil, you know, because again, it's generally believed, and I have to say it like that on all platforms at this point. Yeah. Okay. So it's generally believed that there are some, you know, governments out there that use drugs as a means of control for the populations. So that was just his expression of, because he unfortunately had fallen victim to this. But he still wanted to continue to produce art. So he was using this as his paintbrush. So I had changed the medium to just charred residue instead of the remnants of heroin, right? Just because with everything that's happened, and like what Matt was saying, with like the pressure from the lawyers and the pressure from, you know, the politicians, you know what, I didn't have it in me to make them uncomfortable at that point, you know? So I changed it. I'm like, you know what, like ultimately what our organization wants to do is to sell the work so then we can send the money back to you guys so you can, you know, keep living your life, keep producing art and doing all that. And so I'm just like, you know what, if I do this, then there's probably more chance that it will sell. But ultimately it's just, right? It hurt more than anything. So I changed it back today and I just posted it all over social media. I'm just like, look, I changed it. I put it back. It's now what it is. So, but it ultimately led to, you know, a bigger conversation, which we'll be having soon, just about not censorship of like a country or an institution, but self-censorship, you know, and like the need to bend and the need to, you know, circumvent or just kind of skirt around the issues. So I'm glad it happened, but I'm kind of upset that it happened. But ultimately, yeah. So again, thank you both. If you have any closing remarks, please let us know. Now's your chance to say whatever you need to, because we're almost at time.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank you because the amazing job that you have done till now. I mean, that it was like quite an opportunity to just finding you guys and going through all these things. And about what happened to the Amir's work, I mean, it was really shocking for me when I heard it at the first time. But I think that it was like a nice decision to just make it be there, like finding a way to not to just to help it like to be exposed at last. I mean, it was like a brilliant choice, I think, because you need, I mean, when you're facing like all these banning things and like all this censorship, you need to find a way for that, because it is not if you want to go like in the mainstream way. So of course you will be out of it. They will ignore you. So you need to find another way for that. So I think that this is not called self censorship in this way. It is like to just finding like some different road to the goal. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure for us to have exhibition for you, and we really enjoy every day working with you guys.
Yeah, for us.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's great to have, you know, both like two of you here, you know, communicating with each other, because I don't think, you know, there's, you know, to have that opportunity, it's kind of rare. So again, we want to be able to continue doing this for as long as we can, and, you know, helping you guys. And we still, you know, with this whole COVID situation, we have no idea what the future holds for like next year's, or even if we're going to have another call for artists. So we may, you know, just take every opportunity to kind of present your work at different art fairs and different exhibitions. Our schedule for the next 10 months is full. So we have, how many artists now? So we like 10 artists, like 11, yeah. So like that we're dealing with. So yeah, the next exhibition to come out is a young gay religious man from Lebanon, who is, you know, it's video art, and he's just trying to find, you know, his place in the world, because again, he was outside of Lebanon for quite some time, and then he went back full of hope and, you know, dreams of what his homeland would be like and welcoming and all that stuff, and he was just not welcome whatsoever. So we ended up having to leave again, and just, you know, the transition, and like him wanting to be religious, he wants to be part of it, but
part
still
of his identity, and he's like focusing on identity issues a lot. And his work is amazing. Lots of video arts. So
yeah, so hopefully we can have a chance to kind of connect, you know, you guys as well, and, you know, and like Zahra was saying, like start collaborating and, you know, forming these bonds between, you know, even deeper bonds between, you know, the Persianate societies, like as if you guys aren't bonded enough, you know. You have deep roots there, deep roots. But again, thank you guys so much for coming out here, and thank you for waking up so early to join us. And again, thanks for everybody who came and you know was here for this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to you.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.